Hello, awesome artists. I enjoyed seeing your 3D conversation hearts last week. Oh, you did such a good job drawing those. And weren't they fun? It is so fun to try to create that optical illusion in your picture. Now, when we drew last week, you saw that you could create depth, which means deepness in a picture. That's where the 3D comes from. You can create that by how you draw. But also, you can create depth in a picture just by the way you add your color. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that today. And that's just a really useful thing to know how to do, because when you look at something, even though you know something is one color, rarely ever is it just one color, because you have usually highlights that make some areas look lighter. Those are usually the areas that are closer to you. And then the areas that have shadows are usually the areas that are further away. So when you use a color and highlights and shadows, that creates an object that looks like it has more than one color, even though it really is just one color. So let me show you that cool technique, and let's add some depth to our conversation heart drawings. I have my picture that I created last week with my conversation hearts, and now I'm going to add color. Last week we talked about adding your lines to make your hearts look more three-dimensional, so I'm going to show you how to add color to also give it a more three-dimensional look, which is an optical illusion. Now I'm going to use markers and crayons together, and so I picked out a couple of colors that coordinate. Now, if you want to use all crayon, that's totally fine, or all colored pencils, or even paint. Any of those things work well, but each heart is going to be a different color. So I'm going to begin by tracing over my writing with a marker. That way it looks nice and neat. I'm also gonna outline just the front of my heart. I'm not gonna do the sides, just the front. You could also use a black marker if you'd like to. So once you have it like you want it, you're gonna move on to your coloring. Now, when I do my heart, I want to use a medium shade for my heart. Now, I don't want to use marker, that would be way too dark, but I'm going to use a nice medium shade. That's just, not pressing down too hard, not pressing down too lightly. And I'm going to add my color to my hearts. I'm trying to color neatly. And if you do that with marker, look, you can color right on top of it. You don't have to color around every little letter. Just color it right on top of that. I'm gonna get my edges real good, like so. Okay. Okay, my heart's done. Making sure I have all of those little white spots covered in. Now, here's the thing about adding color to create depth. Things that are further away from you are going to look darker. So if you add a darker color to things, it's going to look like they're going outwards. They're going away from you. If you want things to look like they are closer to you, they're going to be lighter. So we're going to be using shades that are darker than this pink, and also shades that are lighter. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to trace over my pencil mark with my crayon, and I'm going to press down really hard right there, because that's curving away from me. And that's going to be closer to me. So I'm just going to color that really lightly. Really, really lightly. Okay, same thing for this. I'm now going to trace around this with my crayon, which is, remember, your medium color. And that's going away from me, so I'm going to color that really dark. Try not to break your crayon. That happens to me sometimes. I'm always breaking crayons when I press down hard. Okay, this is gonna be the part that's closer to us, and then we want that to kind of look like it's going away from us a little bit too, because that's the part of the heart that sticks out the furthest. Okay, so really it's pretty easy. Darker right there, darker right there, darker right there, and then everything else is gonna be light, kind of like a highlight. So it needs to be lighter than the medium shade. Now, if you notice that there's a big line right there, I just try to adjust how hard I mash down to try to make it blend. Like that. All right. So now I have medium, dark, and light. That's a really easy look to get with colored pencils too. I think that for my next one, I'm gonna do a green. So I have two coordinating shades of green. And I'm gonna trace over my writing. Now, if you notice that you have a lot of pencil lines, it might be good to erase those before you color with your crayon. I had already erased mine when I did them last week, so I didn't have a lot to erase this week because I'd already done that step. And it looks like I have a marker that is a little bit tired. It is not very dark. So I'm going to go over it a couple of times. So again, writing, outline on just the front. That way the front really stands out more. Then I'm going to use a medium shade. Just pressing down medium hard on the front. Medium hard on the front. Like this. Medium, medium, medium. One thing I like about crayons is they are pretty quick to color with, and you know, you can get some pretty smooth color with your crayons. Colored pencils, since they're thinner, they take a little bit longer, but they look good too. I think you could get more difference in your color with colored pencils. So now I've outlined with a marker, colored this in with a medium shade. Using the medium shade, I'm gonna outline the edge. Like so. Now the parts that are going away from me, which is right here, that's gonna be my darkest color, and then I'm gonna get really light, really, really light. You just don't want a straight line. You don't want to draw yourself a line. You want it to look like it's kind of changing colors. That's called shading. And I am gonna go really dark right here until I get to the side. And when I kind of turn that corner there, that's when I want to start getting lighter. Really, really light. And then, oh, dark right there at that corner. And that's all you have to do. Now, if you want something a little more challenging, you could take a darker, you could even take black. Let's try black. If you wanted to add a little bit of a shadow. You could even add a little bit of shadow right over your darkest color. If you wanted to try that. That's just something extra we could do. So it's just fun to experiment and create. I do sort of like the black over it. I think that does make it look a little bit more like a shadow. This. And then I'm just gonna repeat the same process for my hearts in the background. Easy, easy, easy.